At this place in history, we're in Colchester with Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins, on the grounds of Fort Ethan Allen. Steve, we're talking about Buffalo Soldiers?
We are, yeah. So Fort Ethan Allen, an Army installation right here in Vermont from really kind of after the Civil War all the way up to the 1940s. And we are going to talk about Buffalo Soldiers because it's a really unique piece of our history, especially in the Burlington area, and how African Americans really kind of grew as a group in the early 20th century.
So what was a Buffalo Soldier?
So Buffalo Soldiers was a name that were given to black regiments that were created right after the American Civil War. So there were 2 cavalry regiments and 2 infantry regiments. The most famous cavalry regiment was the 10th United States Cavalry. Completely black because it was a segregated military at the time. They fought very famously in the West and in the Southwest. They fought the Battle of San Juan Hill in Cuba during the Spanish-American War and ended up in the Philippines. And then, of all things, from the Philippines, they were posted here in Colchester, Vermont. And the fort was just a bustling hive of activity because you're talking about, a whole cavalry regiment here, 700-ish troops, plus maybe wives and people who follow around. So maybe 1,500 people, and that would be coming through here. It brought a lot of income to the area. Of course, they came, they shopped in the stores, they drank in the bars and ate in the restaurants. But if you can imagine Vermont, which was very, very white, and Burlington, which at the time, we're talking 1909 here, had maybe a little over 100 black residents. All of a sudden you take 1,200, 1,500 African Americans, and so it's an instant population here. And so, there were some issues around that.
What were some of those issues?
Well, before the 10th Cavalry moved in here, the Burlington Free Press published an article that said maybe we should segregate our trolley cars, and thinking about some of the Jim Crow aspects that we had in the American South, and they were proposing it for Burlington because they were worried that there would be race issues here. Of course, the Burlington Daily News shot right back and said, absolutely not, this is Vermont, and it became sort of a little mini issue that got national press, and I think it embarrassed enough people in Vermont. They said, we're not going to do this. But by the time the soldiers came here, the soldiers were so wonderful and integrated so well into the community that they really were embraced.
So why is the sign right here in front of the music center?
So the Ellie Long Music Center was at one point a riding arena. So this was built around 1895, so shortly before the 10th Cavalry came here, and it's where they would exercise their horses in inclement weather or days like today when there's snow on the ground. And it was also a place for entertainment and balls and dances, and so the community at large would come here to enjoy band concerts and that sort of thing, or just to watch the soldiers ride. So it's a great example of this military history right here in Colchester.
Breaking ground with the cavalry at this place in history.